Right. Hi, everybody. My name is Andres, and this is my Hex Hackathon project called Recovery Stability Indicators. This project explores a simple but important question: why does housing alone often fail to produce long term recovery stability? Housing is frequently treated as the primary solution in recovery policy, but outcomes consistently show that housing alone plateaus. Using a synthetic dataset modeled after public treatment datasets like TEDS SD and the N-SSATS, this analysis looks at how stability actually emerges from the interaction between housing and layered support systems. Okay, this work is exploratory, not predictive. The goal isn't to forecast individual outcomes, but to surface structural patterns, identify system failure points, and show what public datasets are missing. The datasets used here is synthetic, but it's intentionally structured to mirror how public treatment data is organized. It includes housing status, treatment history, treatment setting, and formal support intensity proxy, which represents the public what public datasets can reliably measure. That proxy matters because it defines the limits of what the data can see. Okay, this is the core result of the analysis. When housing is examined on its own, stability plateaus around 40 to 50%. But when housing is paired with high support intensity, stability exceeds 80%. This shows that housing and support don't simply add together, they multiply. Housing creates a foundation, but stability only emerges when support systems are aligned with it. This chart here shows where the systems break down. As prior treatment episodes increase, stability declines across all housing categories. Even individuals with stable housing experience failing stability as treatment history accumulates. This tells us something important. Housing helps, but it cannot erase accumulated structural risk on its own. When we look at treatment settings at discharge, we see the same pattern. Outpatient treatment discharge to homelessness falls below 10% stability. Even inpatient and residential care struggle when individuals are discharged without housing. This shows that treatment intensity alone cannot compensate for housing instability. At this point, the analysis exposes a critical limitation in public datasets. Some of the strongest predictors of real-world stability simply aren't measured. These include peer support, faith-based support, justice-involved reentry navigation, and family support systems. Qualitative research consistently shows these supports are central to sustained stability, yet they're largely invisible in datasets like TEDS, D, and N-SSATS. Rather than ignore this gap, this project names it explicitly. To demonstrate how this framework can evolve, I included a conservative scenario analysis. This is not a prediction. It asks if informal supports followed the same multiplicative pattern we see with formal support, how much stability might currently be underestimated. Even with the modest assumptions, we see meaningful uplift potential, especially in groups that appear low performing in the raw data. This helps quantify the cost of what we're not measuring. This measurement gap is even more severe in reentry contexts, where trust networks and community ties are essential but almost never tracked. The framework here is intentionally designed to incorporate these dimensions as better data becomes available. In summary, this analysis shows that recovery stability is driven by interaction efforts, not isolated by interventions. Housing alone plateaus. Support alignment changes outcomes. Stability collapses where structural risks compound. The goal of this project isn't prediction, it's insight. Insight that can support more realistic recovery policy, program design, and evaluation. Thank you.